Coming up today on Retire Right with Clifton Ross, even the best laid plans can be tested by life's sudden turns. Today, we want to help guide you through some of those difficult trials you might face in retirement, including the death of a spouse or divorce. After today's show, you'll know some of the simple, actionable steps you can take to help ensure your future isn't derailed by the unexpected. Retire Right with Clifton Ross starts right now.
Retirement is more than a destination. It's a journey that starts with a dream, a vision for the way you want to live, recharge, and give back. To get there, you need a plan to reach your retirement goals. Clifton Ross with Guardian Resources has the strategies you need to plan for income, taxes, health care, and more. For years, Clifton has been helping families plan for a successful retirement. Welcome to Retire Right with Clifton Ross.
So Clifton, always a joy to be back with you talking all about retirement.
I'm glad to be here, Kelly. It's a difficult subject, but it's important to talk about.
Yes, certainly. So today we're talking all about how to maybe navigate some of those changes when it comes to retirement. And while it is tough, so important for our viewers to be thinking about things like this in retirement, right?
I agree. We've had a lot of conversations with those that are newly divorced or have lost a spouse, and it's really difficult, but it's still very, very important.
So how do you help people navigate through that? I mean, you wear a lot of hats, and kind of helping them through their emotions is a big one.
Well, it certainly is. I think that when it comes to divorce or losing a spouse, I mean, these are the two most difficult things I think that we can experience in this life. In a divorce, that can change your entire financial landscape. That can change the assets that one has to retire with. And then with losing a spouse, that can really create a significant change in what your financial picture looks like, not along with just kind of losing a partner along the way. And so in both cases, I think it leaves people feeling like they've got to start all over again.
So the AARP says 1 in 4 divorces are among couples ages 65 or older, which is really surprising to me. So what are some of the things that our viewers might want to be aware of in case they face this statistic as well?
Well, in a divorce, in most cases, it means that the assets might be divided. And so you may actually have less than you anticipated, or you may have more than you anticipated. But either way, it's a different financial picture. And then 2, your income is likely to change, especially if you were financially dependent on the spouse that's no longer there. And then you may have alimony. You might be paying alimony, which is affecting maybe cash flow from what it used to be. You might be receiving alimony. And if you are receiving alimony, it's not necessarily a guarantee, is it? I know I was talking to one of our clients recently who's been divorced for years, and she's been receiving an alimony payment for the last couple of decades, but now that ex-spouse has been diagnosed with a neurological disease and doesn't have the outlook that he previously had, so now they're renegotiating her alimony. And so to see her financial distress a little bit with the unknown of what's going to happen to her income, and so that's a big change potentially. And then taxes. You'll file single in the year of the divorce, and so that changes your tax status. It changes what you have for standard deduction. So a lot of changes when it comes to obviously having a divorce situation.
Yeah, those unknowns are certainly so hard. So how do you talk to people about the possibility and what could happen to them if their spouse passes away? That is certainly another hard conversation that people probably don't enjoy talking about.
It is. Well, first of all, we have that conversation with literally every couple because of the fact that in most cases, there's going to be a survivor. One outlives the other. And so it's just a necessary conversation to have because of the realities of life. But it is difficult because obviously we don't like to think about these things. But the fact is that when we have couples that come into our office, I oftentimes say, I see you all together. You're coming in together as you know, two of you, and I hope to see that for decades to come. But I do know, assuming that you stay married throughout your lifetime, that the day will come when one of you comes in by themselves. It's a sobering truth, but a reality. In fact, I've been on that phone call. I call it that last phone call. I've been on that last phone call where I'll have one of the individuals that maybe they've been diagnosed with something terminal, or they just know that their time is short, and so I've had that goodbye call. And in that goodbye call, they're oftentimes expressing appreciation that we're here to continue to provide support, advice for their spouse that they're leaving behind. So super sobering to have. But in both cases, I mean, what happens here now, if someone were to pass away, is you're going to lose an income. If they're still working, we lose their earned income. If you're taking both of those Social Securities, you don't keep both of those Social Securities. You're going to lose one of those Social Securities and tend to lose the lower one and take the higher paying one. But if you are already the higher paying one, your income actually doesn't change except for the fact that you just lose the other income that was coming in. And then you have assets that are transferred based on wills or trusts. Sometimes the surviving spouse is the beneficiary, but other times, especially in a second marriage, that spouse might have children from a previous marriage that they've left some assets to that can change the picture there. And then you've got tax, where you'll file now single the following year. You can still file married the year that spouse passed away, but the next year you file single, so that changes the tax picture. And then estate taxes, right? As though you didn't have all this to deal with. Now you have the risk that based on the estate size, that you could be exposed to federal estate taxes in the end.
Which you bring up a great point, because when you go through all of this, this is not something that you want to be dealing with when you're in the moment and those emotions are so raw. This is why that plan that we talk about all the time on these shows are so, so important.
Kelly, that is just so much of a true statement, because we see it play out in real time. When you lose a spouse, the first thing that's happening, obviously, is just the grieving and the kind of the fog of what does this mean and how does my life kind of unfold from here. It's not the time that people tend to be doing a lot of acute, sharp financial planning and thinking. Oftentimes, even with our clients, we say, hey, we're just here for you. We're taking care of you on this side of it. And you just go through that process. And when you're ready to talk, we're here to talk. But at least have a partner and at least have a plan. But for those that don't have a plan, it can feel really uncomfortable. And you can cause quite a bit of anxiety when you're trying to figure out what to do when you are least equipped kind of to do it.
I know that the work that you do is not about you, but how does it make you feel when you are on those last calls and you have the privilege of being able to walk people through those precious moments?
Kelly, I can get a little emotional, actually, because there's just no greater honor. You know, there's no greater honor than to have someone who's leaving you with what's most important to them and trusting you that you're going to take care of someone as much as they would have taken care of. Nothing gives me greater honor than that.
Beautifully said, and I know that you can see the emotion, obviously the care that you put into the people that you work with. So we'll get the Kleenex. We'll also have a lot more here to come. Straight ahead, strategies to help you prepare for life's twists and turns in retirement. And later, Clifton is in the hot seat for Retirement IQ. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
They say knowledge is power. Whatever you're doing, whatever your goals are, you'll probably never say you know too much. The same is true with retirement. The more you know, the more prepared you'll be for everything in store. And we've made it easy to get started. This free offer is packed with knowledge to help answer some of retirement's biggest questions. It's our gift to you. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Act now and claim your free offer today.
In life, it's good to know what you have to work with. Knowing how many nails you have before building that birdhouse. Knowing how much sugar you have before starting to bake the cake. But do you know how much income you'll be able to count on in retirement? Retirement savings are one thing, but knowing how those savings can turn into income is another. Are you confident you know what your retirement income will look like? Call our team and get a free income analysis today. We can show you what you might expect for income in retirement. Find out now so you won't have to wonder later. Call for your free analysis today.
More is usually better, but not when it comes to taxes in retirement. Tax rates might seem high right now, but these could be the lowest rates you ever see again. Think how that could impact your retirement. The good news is there are strategies you can take advantage of now to help lower your tax bill later and help get the most out of what you've saved for retirement. But don't delay. Time is limited and rates could rise soon. So act now to get your free tax analysis. Help uncover hidden savings and optimize your income in retirement. Take action and claim your free tax analysis now.
Welcome back. I'm here with Clifton Ross, founder of Guardian Resources. And Clifton, today we are helping our viewers understand the financial changes that could come with the the loss of a spouse, divorce, and now we want to give our viewers some ways to help deal with these potential challenges.
So let's start with divorce. In many cases in a divorce, that changes the asset landscape. And so one of the first things that one needs to do is just take a new financial picture. Their 401k might have changed now, maybe equity in the home has changed, even their balances in their checking and savings accounts. And so it's just a brand new picture that we need to take to see what does it look like today as far as what assets that you have as it relates to retirement. The second thing that's super important that sometimes we don't think about because of obviously just the fog of just the emotional situation that we're in for many of us, but it's just double checking those beneficiaries on some of these accounts. Life insurance. I remember a story some time ago where there was a second marriage and the wife had passed away and had $1 million insurance policy. And so her second husband, who she had been married to for a few decades, had just assumed, outside of just the tragedy of losing his wife, that he was the beneficiary in that account. So imagine his shock when the beneficiary was really her ex-spouse. And that's where the money was going.
Wow.
Now, in this case, he actually did sue to have that reviewed by a judge to imply that the intent was for that obviously to come to the current spouse, not the ex-spouse. But unfortunately, beneficiary designation, it's a powerful designation. And so that stood.
I do want to say, whether you're going through a divorce or not, that check of your retirement plan every so often is really important. Is there like a set time, like people should be reviewing what they have once a year? What do you recommend in people looking and rechecking the plan that they have in place?
Well, at least once a year.
Okay.
With our clients, we're talking to them all throughout the year. And so it's kind of a real-time update on what the conditions are relative to their accounts, opening accounts, closing accounts. So it's a continuum. But just generally speaking, I think on an annual basis, it's a good time to check to make sure that what you're doing financially aligns with your life as it is in that moment. Because as you know, life is always in flux. It's always changing.
Yep.
The other thing that a spouse can do after the divorce is you can claim Social Security benefits on your spouse, your ex-spouse's Social Security record. So that can be a form of income. And it doesn't reduce their benefit at all. Now, the caveat, though, is that you would have had to be married for 10 years, so at least 10 years. But if you've been married for at least 10 years, you do have access to Social Security based on your spouse's record. And then that does end if you were to remarry. Those benefits end. So those are some key things to think about in the case of a divorce.
Yeah, definitely some things that warrant a conversation for sure. Now, I do want to shift again to talk about the potential loss of a spouse. How do you talk to people about preparing for something as big as that?
Well, I mean, as I said before, this is a conversation that we literally have with every couple because in most cases, one will outlive the other. One comes in, two comes in, but at some point, one will come in. So one of the things that I've seen is that oftentimes in a financial partnership or in a marriage is you have a pilot and a co-pilot. The pilot is the one where they've kind of agreed that they're going to be the one kind of responsible for the major financial decisions or investments or income and that kind of thing. And then you have the co-pilot who's just there as kind of a partner, as a backup. And that's fine if that's what a relationship, if the two people agree to that. But what happens, though, is that if that pilot in the scenario were to pass away, that co-pilot now can find themselves feeling a bit anxious and very concerned about things when they really don't have a picture and they really haven't been the one responsible in the relationship for kind of making the major investment decisions. And so a couple of things that we always encourage every couple to do, no matter if you've chosen for there to be a pilot and a co-pilot, is both people really have to know what's there. Both people really have to know how many accounts are there, what's in the accounts, what type of accounts, what banks those accounts might be in. And even for someone like me, I was kind of talking to my wife, Elisa, about this. And after I finished just kind of going over my thoughts for this segment with her, she goes, wait a minute. She goes, I think I need to know more about what happens, about the financial situation for us. So it just goes to show you, I think every family, that's something that they really need to make sure that they're updating and paying attention to for both people knowing that. The second thing is that if we lose a spouse, if one passes away, we're going to lose an income. And so that we're not surprised in the future, potentially, we should be able to anticipate, what does that look like? Whose Social Security is the survivor going to have? Which one are we going to lose? If there's going to be a pension or not. And what happens to the pension? I remember meeting with someone years ago, and they were fortunate enough to have a pension. And the pension was like $3,000, a pretty significant amount for kind of guaranteed monthly income. But in the event that he were to pass away, that pension immediately went from $3,000 down to $700. That's probably going to have a pretty significant impact on just that cash flow for the survivor. So just anticipating that. And then taxes is something that we need to be aware of, that you'll file single the year after that spouse were to pass away, and you could have estate tax issues. And one thing that I think sometimes catches people off guard is in a second marriage is in that case, sometimes the beneficiaries of the one that passed away might be children from a previous marriage on some of those assets. And so just understanding, what that's going to look like in the future can be really helpful. Not that it takes away, obviously, the pain of losing a spouse. What takes that away? But it does help one to maintain confidence and not feel like they're losing control from a financial standpoint.
I know that we're talking about some heavy topics today, but it was interesting when you were talking about you and your wife having that conversation, and we were talking about the pilot, co-pilot analogy. And it's interesting, though, because sometimes you have people who are coming in just thinking about retirement, and you've got a pilot who wants to be a co-pilot who wants to be a pilot. Maybe they're flying different planes at the same time, too, that you've got to navigate.
You took the analogy in a whole different way.
Right? I think there's so many places to take this.
True.
That it can get complicated, right? And figuring out what each spouse wants to do with their retirement.
Yeah, and that's why that communication ahead of time is just so important. And then hopefully live many, many, many years of life together. But at least we're prepared.
Yeah, and of course, hopefully on the same plane at that point. All right, well, straight ahead. Clifton is in the hot seat for Retirement IQ. And later, what are some of the simple, actionable steps you can take to help you prepare for life's curveballs? Clifton has your checklist challenge. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Your dream car, the open road, and freedom. It's just one turn away. So you thought. Even when things look good, hidden problems can ruin your plans. Think of your retirement. At first glance, your investments might seem solid, but under the hood, what kind of risk are you exposed to? And what about taxes, income, healthcare costs? Don't let your retirement dreams stall out. Act now and get your free risk analysis to help keep you in the retirement fast lane.
More is usually better, but not when it comes to taxes in retirement. Tax rates might seem high right now, but these could be the lowest rates you ever see again. Think how that could impact your retirement. The good news is there are strategies you can take advantage of now to help lower your tax bill later and help get the most out of what you've saved for retirement. But don't delay. Time is limited and rates could rise soon. So act now to get your free tax analysis. Help uncover hidden savings and optimize your income in retirement. Take action and claim your free tax analysis now.
They say knowledge is power. Whatever you're doing, whatever your goals are, you'll probably never say you know too much. The same is true with retirement. The more you know, the more prepared you'll be for everything in store. And we've made it easy to get started. This free offer is packed with knowledge to help answer some of retirement's biggest questions. It's our gift to you. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Act now and claim your free offer today.
Welcome back. Time for one of my favorite segments. How do you feel about this one?
We'll see. Let's see how it goes.
Do you enjoy being in the hot seat?
It's fun. You make it fun.
Okay. All right, good. Well, it is time for our IQ, Retirement IQ, where we've got 4 questions, and we're really going to be talking, I think, some general basic questions here that are going to be pretty easy.
Oh, that's a nice clue. Thanks for the clue.
You're welcome. You shouldn't. Now, if you have problems with this, then that's another conversation, so we'll see.
Could be a setup, too.
Trivia question number 1, true or false? 70% of adults 65 and older will need some type of long-term care.
So I do know this is true because I think some people are sometimes surprised by it. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to be confined to a nursing home. I think that's the fear that a lot of people have. It just means that we're going to have some interaction, some engagement with long-term care. Sometimes it's a hip surgery that you just have a longer recovery from. But it can go all the way to, like we talked about earlier, where my mom is diagnosed only at 68 years old, right, with dementia, and we'll take care of her as long as we can. So it is a larger number than we anticipate, than we think about, which is why it's just important to integrate that into the planning discussion, even though it's uncomfortable to do.
Because the cause and effect of that is that it can cost a lot, and it's something you have to be prepared for on the front end, right, of all of it, as opposed to the back end, for
100%.
sure.
Yep.
Okay, easy. We'll see what this one is for you. Question
right.
2, true or false, if your ex-spouse files for Social Security benefits based on your record, it will cut your benefits in half.
It actually does not cut your benefits in half. If you file on your ex-spouse's record, you have access to benefits that don't impact their benefits. It doesn't reduce their benefits. And of course, this is assuming you've been married for at least 10 years. And that benefit stops if you choose and elect to remarry.
Yeah, there's that kind of caveat, right? Of like, if you remarry, there's always an asterisk with a lot of stuff. But correct, that is false. It will not cut your benefits in half.
It does not.
Trivia question 3, true or false again. On average, women live longer than men.
Stop rubbing it in, Kelly. Yes, it's true.
Sorry, I can't help it. Born this way, you know?
Yes. For some unknown reason. But we're happy the fact that you all somehow have some advantage.
Is it really unknown, though?
There's theories as to why
maybe
that
we
could
take
be.
fewer risks,
Well,
perhaps,
It could be.
that inflict bodily harm, you know?
My wife jokes is that I can just get her place ready in the suite by and by, so that it's all prepared by the time she gets there.
Great, there you go. Yeah. There's a benefit for
Landscaping, painting, it's all done, honey.
Your honey-do list.
It's all ready for you. Yeah.
Your heaven honey-do list,
Exactly.
right? Well, that is true. The average American lives between 70 and 80 years. Women live on average 79.3, while the average man lives to 73.5. So then you got to factor that in, in your retirement plan and that longevity and all of that. A lot of planning, again.
And if you're being statistical, you're planning for that if one of us outlives the other, oftentimes if in a spousal situation, it's the wife who actually is still here when the husband is not. And taking that into account of planning is just common sense.
Yeah, but also we know you said statistical, right? Things change and do as well.
That's true.
Trivia question 4, true or false? If you get divorced and remarry, your beneficiary designations automatically change to your new spouse's name.
Well, that certainly would be convenient, but that's not the case. It's something you have to be very intentional on doing. And there have been cases, as I mentioned before, where people have forgotten to do that. And you have things and assets that go to others that you wouldn't elect to do that today. It just hasn't been updated, and it does not update by itself. This is something to look at continually. And I would say I review these documents every two years or so, just to make sure they still represent what you want. Because sometimes you change too, right?
Yeah.
Our goals change. And making sure that everything is up to date is an important part of your planning rhythm.
Yep, that retirement plan is not something you make and then just sit and watch it go, right? You've got to take an active role in that as well, especially as things change. All right, you did it. Pretty easy. 4 for 4. We'll see if we can get you next time. But still to come, you'll learn some of the simple steps that you can take today to help you prepare for some of life's curveballs. Because how useful is knowledge without action? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
They say knowledge is power. Whatever you're doing, whatever your goals are, you'll probably never say you know too much. The same is true with retirement. The more you know, the more prepared you'll be for everything in store. And we've made it easy to get started. This free offer is packed with knowledge to help answer some of retirement's biggest questions. It's our gift to you. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Act now and claim your free offer today.
In life, it's good to know what you have to work with. Knowing how many nails you have before building that birdhouse. Knowing how much sugar you have before starting to bake the cake. But do you know how much income you'll be able to count on in retirement? Retirement savings are one thing, but knowing how those savings can turn into income is another. Are you confident you know what your retirement income will look like? Call our team and get a free income analysis today. We can show you what you might expect for income in retirement. Find out now so you won't have to wonder later. Call for your free analysis today. Thank you so much for joining us today on Retire Right with Clifton Ross.
Now, I know that our topic today, it could be a heavy topic, right? And one that may be hard for people to think about and may not be so fun, but it is also important, we talk about all the time, to have a plan for what to do if your world gets turned upside down through the loss of your spouse or a divorce. I know we have learned a lot, and we always go back to this, but the saying goes, knowledge is power, right?
Well, sure, right? And knowledge with action is really where power is. And so, as every time, I'd like to end the show with 3 action steps that one can take just to make sure that they stay confident no matter what happens as it relates to this topic. And one of those things we talked about before is just making sure that you've taken an inventory of everything you have financially. There's some people who haven't taken inventory of what they have just for themselves. Oftentimes we'll have meetings with people, we'll sit down and they'll say, I really don't know what I have. So just put it all out there and know what the IRA accounts are, what the checking and savings and the money markets and all these financial vehicles. And then if you're a couple, you share that with each other. You can still choose a pilot or a co-pilot if that's the way you like, or 2 pilots of 2 different planes, as your analogy subscribed. But just to know everything. Everyone in the relationship should know and have the entire financial picture. Number 2, it's those beneficiary designations. It happens so often to where those beneficiaries have changed in your mind. They just haven't changed on paper. So pull out the life insurance policies, pull out the checking, savings accounts, the investment accounts, and just make sure that those beneficiaries are who you want them to be today. And that can even change in the future. I tell my kids, you're beneficiaries of everything I have. Maybe.
If you
make good choices. Make good choices. So you might want to, right? So they can change. So just make sure they're up to date. And then number 3, the Social Security. That is a primary source of income for most of us in retirement. And it's a good idea to know what those benefits are, either early at full retirement or at age 70 when you maximize those benefits. So those 3 key pieces I think are essential in the case of divorce, in the case of a married couple who know that at some point down the road, if there's 2, there's going to be 1, and making sure that whoever that survivor is maintains confidence in retirement.
Well, maybe our conversation today is going to help you have conversations of your own or start thinking more seriously about your retirement. Of course, you're always here to help as well. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that you can take what you learned and put it into action. And don't forget, Clifton and his team is here to help stay on top of all things retirement so you can be free to spend your time doing what you love with the people who matter most to you. For Clifton and the team at Guardian Resources, I'm Kelly Dame. Have a great week. We'll see you back here next time.